Here's a number that's going to stick with you. The median American household earns about $78,000 a year, and according to every survey on financial stress, roughly 60% of those households are living paycheck to paycheck. Do the math and something doesn't add up. $78,000 is not a poverty wage. In most parts of this country, that's a genuinely decent income. So how are people making $6,500 a month somehow still broke? The answer isn't what most people think. It's not laziness. It's not irresponsibility. It's a trap, a precise, mathematically elegant trap that was designed to capture people at exactly this income level. And the scariest part is that from the outside, the people inside this trap look completely fine. They look successful. They look like they're winning. They are quietly drowning. My name is Tom, and I spend an uncomfortable amount of time thinking about why intelligent, hardworking people end up financially stuck despite doing everything society told them to do. Get the degree, get the job, buy the house, buy the car. If you've ever looked at your income and wondered why the math just doesn't seem to work, why you're earning more than your parents ever did but somehow feel more financially anxious, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button because we're about to pull back the curtain on something most financial content refuses to talk about directly. Let's start by naming the trap. Behavioral economists call it the middle-class consumption paradox. Here's how it works. As income rises, social pressure to display that income rises proportionally. Not through any conscious decision, but through the invisible gravitational pull of peer norms, marketing, and something psychologists call relative deprivation. The feeling of falling behind based not on your absolute situation, but on how you compare to the people around you. You're not comparing yourself to someone making $20,000. You're comparing yourself to your colleagues, your neighbors, your social feed. And every single one of those comparison points is showing you a curated version of prosperity. Here's what makes this trap so precise. It targets you hardest right when your income starts to feel comfortable. At $30,000 a year, most people are making purely functional financial decisions. Rent, food, utilities, transportation. There's not much room for status spending, but somewhere between $55,000 and $90,000, a switch flips. Suddenly, there's enough discretionary income that spending becomes a form of self-expression. The car you drive starts mattering. The neighborhood you live in starts mattering. The vacations you take, the restaurants you go to, the clothes you wear, all of it starts carrying social weight. And because your income is real, your credit is solid, and your monthly obligations are technically manageable, no alarm goes off. No one stops you. The bank approves the car loan. The landlord approves the nicer apartment. Everything feels fine, right up until it doesn't. Let's get into the actual mechanics, because this is where most people start to see themselves in the numbers. The average middle-class household's monthly budget breaks down something like this. Housing costs, mortgage or rent, insurance, property taxes, utilities, consume about 35% of take-home pay. Transportation, car payment, insurance, gas, maintenance, eats another 18 to 22%. Food between groceries and dining out takes roughly 12%. Debt service, student loans, credit cards, personal loans, claims another 10 to 15%. Healthcare, subscriptions, childcare, clothing, personal care, phone bills, add another 15%. Run the totals. You're at 90 to 95% of income before a single dollar goes towards savings or investment. The margin for wealth building is almost non-existent. And critically, every single one of those categories contains what economists call aspirational creep, the quiet, constant pressure to spend just a little bit more than last year within each bucket. Think about what this means in real terms. A household earning $78,000 takes home roughly $58,000 after taxes depending on state. That's about $4,800 per month. If housing is $1,700 a month, which in many markets is modest, and transportation runs $900, and food runs $700, and debt payments run $600, they're already at $3,900 before healthcare, childcare, subscriptions, clothing, or any savings at all. They have $900 left over to cover everything else. That's not irresponsibility. That's the arithmetic of the middle-class trap. And here's the psychological mechanism that makes it nearly impossible to escape through willpower alone. Every single category is being actively pushed upward by forces outside your control. Rents in most markets have risen significantly faster than wages for over a decade. New car prices have increased dramatically. Healthcare costs compound annually. Months of student loan balances generate interest while you sleep. You are not running in place. You are running uphill on a treadmill that someone else controls the speed of. Telling people in this situation to just cut their lattes is not financial advice. It's noise. But here's what's fascinating about this trap. It does have an exit, and it's not what most people think. The exit is not a bigger income, though that helps. The exit is not radical frugality, though discipline matters. The exit is a fundamental restructuring of which categories you allow to inflate and which ones you freeze. This is the core insight that separates people who break the middle-class trap from people who stay in it their entire working lives. You cannot fight aspirational creep everywhere simultaneously, but you can choose 2 or 3 categories where you refuse to let your lifestyle inflate and redirect all of that preserved capital into assets. That selective restraint, compounded over time, is the entire ballgame. Let's model what this actually looks like with real numbers. 2 households, both earning $78,000, both living in similar markets, both with similar fixed costs. The difference, household A allows all lifestyle categories to inflate naturally with each raise. Household B freezes 2 categories, transportation and housing, at below market levels for 5 years and redirects the difference into low-cost index funds. Household A drives a $42,000 SUV on a 7-year loan. Monthly payment plus insurance, $850. Household B drives a 3-year-old Honda they bought used for $19,000 cash. NAS monthly transportation cost including insurance, $280. That's $570 per month difference. Household A rents a 2-bedroom apartment with updated finishes in a trendy neighborhood, $1,950 per month. Household B rents a smaller apartment in a quieter area, $1,400 per month. That's $550 per month difference. Combined, Household B is redirecting $1,120 per month into investments. Over 5 years at 7% returns, that's $79,000. Over 10 years, it's $193,000. And this is before any income growth. Household B didn't earn more money. They made 2 deliberate choices about where not to inflate their lifestyle and let mathematics do the rest. Here's the deeper behavioral psychology of why this strategy works when nothing else does. Willpower is a depleting resource. Every time you resist a spending temptation through sheer discipline, you consume a finite cognitive reserve. By evening, by the end of a stressful week, that reserve is empty. And that's when the expensive, spontaneous decision gets made. Eating out instead of cooking. The impulse online purchase at midnight. The weekend trip that went on the credit card. Relying on willpower to fight aspirational creep in every category every day is a losing strategy. The middle class is not losing this fight because they're weak. They're losing it because they're exhausted. But when you make a structural decision, like buying a used car outright or choosing a smaller apartment, you remove an entire category from the daily willpower battle. That fight is already decided. It's not a temptation you resist every day. It's a choice you made once that now generates wealth automatically. This is what behavioral economists call pre-commitment. You're using your best judgment present self to bind your future self before fatigue and social pressure can get involved. It's not about being disciplined every day. It's about making one good structural decision that removes the need for discipline entirely. Now let's talk about the identity layer, because this is where the real resistance lives. The middle-class trap is not just financial, it's social. The car you drive is visible to your neighbors. The neighborhood you live in signals your status to your colleagues. The restaurant you choose on a work outing communicates something about who you are. Choosing deliberately modest versions of these things doesn't just feel like a financial sacrifice. It feels like a statement about your worth. And that feeling, that quiet social vulnerability, is what keeps people locked into spending patterns they know aren't serving them. They're not bad at math. They're protecting their social identity, and no spreadsheet can fix that. The fix is an identity reframe. Wealthy people who got there through genuine financial discipline don't think of their modest car as a sacrifice. They think of it as proof that they've won the psychological game that's bankrupting everyone around them. They're not depriving themselves. They're outsmarting a system that's designed to extract wealth from people who can't see it operating. When you reframe the choice from "I can't afford more" to "I've decided that more would cost me my future," the entire emotional valence changes. You're not losing, you're playing a different game, and you're winning it. Here's where the math becomes almost uncomfortable to look at. If a middle-class household earning $78,000 could maintain a 20% savings rate, $940 per month, for 30 years at 7% returns, they would accumulate $1.13 million. The average middle-class household currently saves about 6%. At that rate, over the same period, they accumulate roughly $340,000. The behavioral difference between those two outcomes is not income. It's a combination of structural decisions and identity that redirects $700 per month into compounding growth instead of lifestyle. $700 a month is a car payment. It's the difference between a $1,900 apartment and a $1,200 apartment. It's the accumulated aspirational creep across subscriptions, dining, and convenience spending. That's the actual size of the gap. It's not insurmountable, but it requires seeing the trap clearly before you can step out of it. Here's the thing nobody in the middle class wants to hear, but everyone needs to. Looking wealthy and being wealthy are not just different, they are directly opposed. Every dollar you spend on appearing prosperous is a dollar that cannot compound into actual prosperity. The luxury car, the upscale apartment, the curated social life. These things are the proof of wealth to everyone looking from the outside. But they are the mechanism of poverty to everyone looking from the inside at their actual net worth. The trap works precisely because the people inside it look like they're winning. And looking like you're winning is socially rewarding enough that the trap reinforces itself. You get status points for spending money you don't have. You get nothing visible for saving money you do have. Until 30 years later, when suddenly one household has $1.1 million and the other has $340,000, and everyone wonders how that happened. You've been running in a system designed to extract wealth from the middle class through entirely voluntary transactions, not through corruption or conspiracy, just through the precise application of social psychology, marketing, easy credit, and aspirational norms. Now you know how it works. The exit is structural, not heroic. Pick two categories, freeze them, redirect the difference, let time and compound interest do what they were designed to do. The choice is yours to make now, before your next raise disappears exactly like the last one did.